Looking at the kind stranger in front of him, Mike felt like he had fallen into a sweet dream, one he had never owned. After dinner, Annie was ready to take him shopping for some one-of-a-kind. Mike found he had just one short sleeve to change into. Amid the kindness, he felt shy. He staunchly insisted he had a few antique Sherlock Holmes coats at his biological mother's place, but the gangster's stares were anything but friendly. Just as Annie was about to get out of the car, Mike pulled a last-minute break because he knew too well about those hooligans just hanging around. He had never let silent treatment annoy Annie, but upon entering that distant, cold house, what greeted him was an eviction notice as frosty as a chilly drink on a snowy day, meaning he was completely cut off from his biological mother. After digesting this gigantic cup of bitter coffee of life, Mike returned to the car and immediately dropped a self-care quote. Annie understood him right away and took Mike straight. The walking down the road, the stares from the black folks made him uneasy. Soon they arrived at a big and tall store. Big horse meant big size. Even though the clothes were bigged up, there were still not many that fit Mike. After a round of extreme picking, Mike chose the cheapest one because Annie surprisingly liked that style. As time went by, Annie drove Mike and Sean to school, watching their figures mingle like a dance in the sun. Every day, a powerful sense of satisfaction wells up inside her. That day, Annie invited Mike for a sleepover, not a dorm party kind. Annie smiled slightly, secretly pleased. The next day, she prepared a spacious room for Mike, like a 5-star hotel. Mike gazed at all the novel sights in front of him in utter disbelief, and Anna's nose tingled a bit after hearing that. She could hardly imagine her simple sheet was a fairy tale to others. She also couldn't fathom how much earthly suffering this poor boy had been through. As for Anna's unilateral decision to let Mike stay longer, husband Sean quietly changed Mike's school file contact to his own. After paperwork, Mike's learning interest was activated. He went from submitting a blank sheet to genuinely answering questions and landing a C grade, like leveling up in a game. Moreover, he shifted from low-key to asking teachers questions persistently. The rewards were obvious. Soon, Mr. Sean told Mike that he was finally eligible to join the spring party in March. For that, the whole family planned to head to a restaurant to celebrate. At dinner's end, Mike hugged a server tightly. It was his long-lost brother. Their lives were like directionless kites, briefly embracing before having to miss each other again. That night, Annie told Mike and little Sean a fairy tale. His sister, hiding at the door, was filled with happiness, as the story contained her sweetest childhood candy memories. Mike's arrival seemed to rewind the clock to those warm moments, and the family took a group photo as usual. His family portrait added a tall figure, but sent as cards to relatives. The rumors came rushing in, and although Annie remained unfazed by her friends' doubts and taunts, some gossip about her daughter still touched her, so that evening she made a point to ask her daughter how she felt. Even though her daughter felt troubled by the school gossip, her kind nature pushed her to encourage her mother to keep Mike. The next day at school, seeing Mike getting along happily with the kid struck a chord in the sister's heart. At that moment, she believed Mike, pure and kind, deserved gentle treatment, not cruel words. So when the other girls looked at Mike with disdain, the sister stood up and quietly sat down next to him. Mike smiled slightly. At that moment, sunshine lit up his life once again. With the spring season approaching, Mike got a chance to showcase his however, his training performance disappointed the coach as his magic was only defense, no attack. Thus, while facing off against opponents, he would occasionally get distracted by irrelevant stuff around him. The coach bluntly said Mike wouldn't play in spring, and without improvement, his full chance was at risk. However, Mike didn't really care about performing on the field. What he truly yearned for was a more real identity proof. He hoped Annie would take him for a driver's license, as in the US, it's the golden key to identity. But when he went to sign up, there was no record of his name in the system. This meant Mike had some hidden identity, and he had no clue about it. So Annie had a brilliant idea to legally adopt Mike through the proper channels. And register his current name as his legal name in the household registry. She expected a complex adoption process, but the official said just fill out a form and get a judge's signature. She didn't even need to notify his biological mother, as Mike's fallen drug-addicted mom had long been stripped of her parental rights. However, Annie greeted her first. After much effort, she found Mike's birth mother, and when she heard that Anna's intention to adopt Mike was genuine, the woman immediately dropped her guard. However, she had completely forgotten Mike's real name. She had dozens of children, multiple husbands, and drug addiction constantly eroded her memory. But she clearly remembered Mike was her favourite child because every time he was sent to a new foster family, Mike would sneak back at midnight for a 100-metre dash to see her. The more she recalled, the guiltier she felt about her motherly decisions. Upon learning Anna's family treated Mike kindly, she had no reason to refuse. At the next day's family meeting, Annie and her husband proposed to Mike to be her legal guardians, and they formally invited her to be a part of the family. Faced with this sudden surprise, Mike felt a bit overwhelmed. His sister's sweet smile and little Sean's mischievous look reassured her, sparking laughter. Mike would never be lonely again. The future became increasingly clear, with laughter and happiness rushing in. After some time, Mike successfully got his driver's license. Mr. Sean generously gave him a cool and stylish pickup. While driving little Sean to buy a new game, a truck crossing the road caught them off guard.